This year's really dedicated, and we really appreciate you.
Honestly.
I can't believe that we're still doing this, but we're doing it.
Wizardly World of Kent, if you are out on the street, we are going to start our podcast. If you'd like to come over.
It's raining, but it's fine.
I'm wondering where you ran off to.
That's still wandering.
I see y'all walking down the street. We are starting our podcast. If you would come and join us.
Can you look
We
at
are
my
over here at
black
the
bag?
Dan Smith
Sorry, excuse me.
stage.
Oh, I don't. Thank you.
And we're only 7 minutes late, which for us is really good.
Premium. I don't have the bell. It just said 7.
I did. Oh, I thought you said 7. Also, we're live on YouTube, so shout out to everybody who's watching on YouTube. Not in the rain.
I don't think they can see me. I should probably move over. Yes, I absolutely can.
Maybe the people watching on YouTube are smarter, but we're having more fun, so it's fine.
Just a little rain. Harry played Quidditch in worse conditions. Come on over. It's today. Never podcasted from my phone before.
Katie, we need a phone.
You should go left. I'm gonna have her. There is, but she can connect to my hotspot. She'll connect to my hotspot. Let me turn it on.
What do we need the Wi-Fi for?
So we can pull it back.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Y'all, I haven't talked about Harry Potter in a minute. Who is he again?
He's a wizard.
Oh, it's a wizard. Okay.
Honestly, this is more people than I anticipated for the rain, so kudos to all of you.
Super
for
dedication.
Just let me know when you are all ready. I will preface with
Let
that.
me just double check that thing's recording, because knowing me, it's not.
Okay, well then I can talk. I had a lot of notes, and I'm probably gonna have to cut them in half.
Tiffany thought this was gonna be the Tiffany hour.
I've been gone a while.
I pulled up the notes and I was like, oh my gosh, she's got like 5 pages of notes.
I have a
We've
lot
got
of
an
feeling.
hour.
I have a lot.
Tiffany, I like that you say you've been gone a while.
I have been.
Right.
You, not longer than you.
Good with hair. Hot.
If you are still walking the streets of Kent, come over. We are doing a live podcast. You're brave for staying in the rain. Let's go.
All right.
Yeah, I see you. Come on. They're like, no, not today. All right, are we ready?
Is that all ever
I think
be?
so.
Well, let's do this. You guys ready? You just see this
I'm
live in person.
Genuinely nervous because I haven't talked about Harry Potter in a long time.
I think you'll remember.
It's like riding a bike.
I was gonna say that.
It's like
can't
riding a
see your-
broom.
Oh, Catherine. Okay, here we go. It's 253 is correct, right?
253, yeah.
I thought you were talking about the time. No.
Solid. Okay, here we go. Hello and welcome to episode 253 of Swish and Flick. I'm Tiffany.
I'm Megan.
I'm Katie.
And I'm Sarah.
She's back for today. And this episode is sponsored by Ashley Shedders. Thank you, Ashley.
Thank you,
How crazy
Ashley.
if she was here.
I know.
We miss
She's
you,
back.
Ashley.
Sorry, Ashley.
Okay. So, if you can't tell by the audio, we have a special live episode for you from Wizardly World of Kent 2022. People in our audience, which is some dedicated few listeners because it is raining. Can you give me a round of applause so we can hear you? Say hi. Hey, lovely. So today we are going to have a special sort of episode for you. We're going to be discussing some of our favorite female characters from the Harry Potter series. So get ready. We're going to chat about some of our famous moments and favorite moments from some of the strongest women in Harry Potter. And I'm first. I'd like to talk about myself.
Oh my god.
I'm amazing. No. So we all had to choose like one of our favorite female characters from the series, and being the Gryffindor that I am, I had to go with McG. So Professor McGonagall. And I've got to pick a couple of moments. I'm going to skip that first one. This moment,
Yeah, skim these notes down, Tiff. You got 15 minutes. We each get 15 minutes.
Oh
I
gosh.
thought you meant in total, and I was like, that would never work for us.
Start the timer.
Your small talk does not take away from my talk time. Okay, so a moment that really stands out for me from McGonagall is when she went into protection mode for Professor Trelawney in 5 when Umbridge, our favorite lady, tried to have her thrown out, right? So Umbridge went through her whole let me evaluate your class things, and I hate most of the teachers, and then she decided she was going to get rid of Trelawney. And it was really unexpected from McGonagall because we know that she doesn't really hold the subject of divination in really like high regard, and I don't think she really cared much about Trelawney. However, it seems that Hogwarts professors stick together, and they are a family, and Umbridge was definitely an outsider and came in and tried to break apart that family. And so she says in Prisoner of Azkaban, of course, said Professor McGonagall, suddenly frowning, there is no need to say anymore, Miss Granger, tell me which of you will be dying this year. And so like that gives us, she doesn't really hold a lot of stake for the subject of divination. But when we get to 5, she really truly stands up for Trelawney. And
You're in the right spot.
she's like, there, Sybil, calm down, blow your nose on this. It's not as bad as you think. You're not going to have to leave Hogwarts. Umbridge is like, oh, really? And Dumbledore like strides through the door, is like, oh yeah, because you're not. You can't do that here. You don't have the authority. Kool-Aid Man, Dumbledore. Oh yeah. But I really like that moment. I really like that moment because, no matter what, that Hogwarts professors were going to stick together and stay a family. I appreciated that moment.
I do think that Dumbledore, like, giving Umbridge that moment of, like, you're wrong, though, is, like, it made
Claire
things
Stevenson,
move a little
Noah and
faster
Claire.
with her, like, becoming
Amy
headmaster.
Stevenson.
Because she was like, oh, that's not going to happen again. You're not going to tell me what I can and can't do anymore. I'm going to fix this.
Oh, you mean like High Inquisitor?
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
No, she's, like, headmaster for a second, isn't she? Like, acting headmaster?
Headmistress. But yeah, I don't think this is.
I love your stuff.
Well, she's
Thank
already.
you.
I
Took
don't
a
know.
hot minute to
But
do
yeah,
that,
I
but-
definitely understand.
But I'm
Here's another
probably on
moment.
the
This one will be a
regular,
quick one. So, standing up for Neville. Okay, I don't know if we covered this at the beginning of Half-Blood, when the 6th years are starting to choose their classes, and Neville's like, hey, I'd like to continue on with Transfiguration. And McGonagall's like, yeah, I understand that, but you didn't really get the scores that were needed. And he kind of like slumps and goes into like sad mode. And she's like, why do you want to continue on with this subject anyway? I didn't think that you really cared about it. And then he mentions Grant,
Yeah.
who I have a lot of feelings about. And she's like, what are you talking about? Like, just because he's like, charms were a soft option instead of transfiguration. And she's like, it's high time your grandmother learned to be proud of the grandson she's got rather than the one she thinks she ought to have, particularly after what happened at the ministry. True. And so hearing those words from her definitely had a great impact on him because we see who he becomes in Deathly Hallows and how brave, and he kind of becomes who he's truly meant to be. And I think that's part of his transfiguration.
Oh!
You're welcome. Okay. And I just wonder, like, is that who the hat really saw when the hat sorted him into Gryffindor? Which I think is definitely a yes, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure. I think so.
Okay. Cool.
Agreed.
All right, flying through these. Protecting Hagrid, I can't leave him out of this. And this is where things get wild at Hogwarts. So they're doing their astronomy evaluation at the top of the tower, and Umbridge thinks that she's, you know, gonna be real slick and do this at, I think it's like after midnight where they're taking this exam, which is a whole thing in itself. And she brings some ministry dudes to come and remove Hagrid from the premises. And McGonagall sees this, she comes rushing out. She's like, how dare you, how dare you? And Hermione's like, oh my gosh, McGonagall. And she's like, leave him alone, I say. And she's like, on what grounds are you attacking him? Because remember, they like straight up went after him. And no fewer...
They're trying to stun him, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And then there's her. No fewer than 4 stunners had shot from the figures around the cabin toward Professor McGonagall, halfway between the cabin and the house. And red beams collided with her. And for a moment, she looked luminous and illuminated by an eerie red glow, and then was lifted off her feet and landed hard on her back and moved no more. Like, she was ready to take on Umbridge, which I think she would have been no problem, but also other ministry officials to keep Hagrid there. And so she's just a brave soul that goes into protection mode.
And we know that earlier in the books too. We kind of see her like she doesn't really trust Hagrid super much. But here she's
But again, it's
defending
like
her
their family.
for him.
Well, and I think it also shows how she, that whole situation is very unjust.
Mm-hmm.
Because first of all, they're doing it in the middle of the night when they think really no one's going to be watching,
Right.
and being very sneaky about it. And he's also innocent, so like, she's like, this is wrong.
She just wanted to get rid of him because he was half giant.
Yeah.
Terrible. Terrible human. All right. There's a lot of other moments, but I've got to jump to Deathly Hallows, my favorite. Defending Harry. So, if you remember, they go to, they being Luna and Harry, go to Ravenclaw Tower, and they try to look for what this object could be. They want to see what the diadem looks like. And Alecto, Caro, is inside Ravenclaw Tower, stationed there by Voldemort because he thinks that Harry is going to enter Ravenclaw Tower because of the Horcrux. And so they take off the invisibility cloak and they're looking at the diadem, and Alecto's like, gotcha, presses the dark mark, right? And so all the Death Eaters are alerted that they've got Harry because that's what they were supposed to do when they've got Harry. And Luna stuns Alecto. And then Amicus comes and is outside of the entrance when McGonagall approaches because Amicus can't get inside because to get into Ravenclaw Tower you have to answer a riddle or a question. And so McGonagall comes up, answers the question, they go inside and they see that Alecto is stunned. And Amicus tries to say, oh, because all the Ravenclaw students come out because when you stun someone, it makes a really loud noise. And he's like, we're going to pin this on the kids. And McGonagall's like, no, we're not. We're not going to do that. You suck. And so...
Is that a direct quote?
It is. Yes. And so Amicus says, he told us Potter might try to get into Ravenclaw Tower to send for him if we caught him. Why would Harry Potter try to get inside Ravenclaw Tower? Potter belongs in my house. And Harry has like a bubble of pride for her after that. And it goes on, and it gets terrible. And he tries to pin it on the Ravenclaw students, and McGonagall says the only difference between truth and lies is courage and cowardice. And a difference, in short, which you and your sister seem unable to appreciate. But let me make one thing very clear. You are not going to pass off your many ineptitudes on the students of Hogwarts. I shall not permit it. Amicus moves forward and spits in her face. And that's when Mr. Harry Potter uses an unforgivable Crucio.
Unforgivable.
In every way. So I just love her love for Harry in that moment. And when at the end of 7, and I'll end with this, is that when Voldemort has Hagrid bring Harry back from the forest, when Harry's died, but didn't die, sorry, everyone, that's a spoiler.
Spoiler alert.
Voldemort's like, hey, come out and see, Harry Potter's dead, you know, he died trying to run, a lie. And, you know, the people start coming out of the castle, and the first person that screams no
It's not Ginny.
it's McGonagall. Truly though, it's McGonagall. And the scream was more terrible because he had never expected or dreamed that Professor McGonagall could make such a sound. And I will end my section with, have a biscuit, Potter.
That's her shining moment for sure. All right.
I tried to go fast. Was that 15 minutes or less?
I think it was less.
It was almost 15. You had like 3 minutes to spare. You just want to joke around for 3 minutes? La 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 la.
Oh my gosh.
You go ahead, man.
Okay, I chose to discuss Hermione because yes, she's a Gryffindor, but I do think that she tends to have some Slytherin tendencies. So these are just like my favorite things, or like her best moments in my opinion, breaking it down by logic, intuition, and bravery. So for logic, I chose the very first example I think that we see of this is at the end of Sorcerer's Stone, when they are going through everything to get to the Sorcerer's Stone and Voldemort. Harry never would have been able to get through that potions room without her and her logic of figuring out that riddle.
Nope.
And I just think that right there is like, that's like the first big example of like, this is how Hermione is going to help push the story forward. She's really going to be the one who's there to make sure that Harry gets through everything he needs to get through.
Well, I think that scene also shows that Harry can't do it alone.
Yes.
Because he needs like everybody,
I
you
thought
know?
you were going to say has no logic. Possibly that too.
Oh.
No, yeah, for sure.
You
Because
couldn't catch a letter.
That's true.
Oh my god.
Wouldn't pick one up from the floor.
Like, I just cannot with that scene. I'm like, you're jumping. Anyway, we all know. Like, just look at the floor.
There's a quality pooch.
Oh,
Hi.
I
love your dog. Oh my gosh. Gryffindor? Yes. What's her name? Nika? Cute.
Yeah.
She's like, you heard me. Yeah, you're a good girl.
Oh my gosh.
You may continue.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Her next, I think this is kind of an interesting one because I chose storming out of divination, not necessarily because I think that like how she handled that situation was good, but it does show that she realized her strengths and her weaknesses, and storming out, like I said, maybe wasn't the best thing, but she realized that she's a girl of logic, and that class, what am I looking for?
Yeah.
There's a word I'm looking for. It's not the word class, but whatever, we're gonna go with it.
Okay.
Is not for her.
Subject.
Subject.
There you go.
That's it, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, literally guys, I've said this all day. There's something wrong with my brain today. I think
It's
I
like
don't-
live events will do for
It's
you.
I
the
don't
rain.
know what it is.
It's the rain.
It's the rain.
Does your hip hurt, Sarah?
Sure.
Okay.
Well, when it's rainy, it always does.
My hip does?
Yes.
My left hip.
I'm learning something new about myself today.
So yeah, I thought that was kind of her realization that her thing is logic, and divination just doesn't make sense for her. And I think that it was hard for her. That was a really hard thing for her to admit to herself because she was always good at everything that she tried. So to come to that realization and be able to accept it was a big thing for Hermione. Also, just a huge general thing with logic, her bag in 7, like the preparedness to just
I'm
have
confused. It's like her bag.
her little bag, her little
The endless bag.
It took
the
me like
beaded
when I got there.
just being that prepared and that ready, because again, that was something that Harry did not think about. Like, oh, we might have to like peace out real quick and have no
Yeah.
plan, like no, like And he was even like, oh, well, I left this. And she was like,
Cloak.
no, you didn't.
Okay.
I
I have to say something though. She packed Ron's 2 small jeans though.
You know,
Yeah.
unacceptable.
What does he still have those for? I don't know.
Can't you just like enlarge them? They're wizards. They got magic.
wizards.
Zippity doo dah day. Here's some bigger pants.
I agree, Sarah. Why couldn't they make those jeans bigger?
Plot hole.
Oh, I didn't like that.
Can't you
Okay.
transfigure some pants, Hermione? You're pretty smart.
True.
Very true.
Should have wrote it.
You should have.
So with her, then I wanted to go on to her intuition, because there's a lot of really big moments in the books where that is in the forefront for like decisions that she makes. So like the first one I thought of was the handling of the Xenophilius Lovegood situation in Deathly Hallows. She was just very aware of her surroundings, noticed interrumpent porn, got them out of there when he betrayed the trio and summoned the Death Eaters. And not only did she get them out of there, she also made sure that the Death Eaters saw Harry to save Xenophilius, because she knew that he was just trying to get his daughter back. Like, he didn't really do what he did out of malice. It was purely for family, and she understood that.
She thinks so fast.
She's
Like,
a quick
so-
thinker at 7.
Yes.
There's another moment when I don't know if you have this though. Do you have any?
I don't have anything else from 7, so please tell me what.
Well, in 7. No, when Harry they're in the tent and he says Voldemort's name, which we know has a taboo on it, and she
Oh, the stinging
she does a
jinx.
stinging jinx on Harry, so he's almost unrecognizable to those people. And his glasses are off and his
And
scars
to
stretched.
Draco, wink, wink.
And then he lies to Bellatrix. Just
I don't know if I could lie to Bellatrix.
Where is our little Bellatrix?
Yeah, she around
She's
here.
around here.
He probably, are you talking about Draco lying to her?
Yes.
He probably lied to her a lot.
True.
He's probably used to it.
Also with the
No, I
Xenophilius
didn't
thing-
steal the milk, you know? I didn't eat the last biscuit, you know? Biscuits.
Also with the Xenophilius thing, she also like maintained Ron's cover in that situation too, which was really difficult. So like she did a lot in a very short little moment.
She's a smart
of quick
girl.
thinking.
Yeah.
Catching Rita Skeeter is also
Oh,
was
God.
also based on intuition, though it was reckless. So she didn't think about the wider consequences of the act; she just acted. So I would say that this also falls under the category, in my opinion, of being a true Gryffindor, because she didn't really think about her actions before she did them.
Yeah?
Yeah. We're
And to go
reckless.
with it, what?
I said we're reckless.
It was
A
her.
little bit. Sorry. I don't know where the
So
sound is
weird.
coming from. And then to go with this, also forcing Rita to print the whole truth about Voldemort was,
Yeah.
was
Nothing but the
huge.
truth.
Katie, I was about to say that. I'm saying it in my head.
Taking Umbridge out to the forest to try to scare her. I never thought that her intention was to have whatever happened to Umbridge actually happen. But her intuition to lie to Umbridge, come up with this whole idea to just get her to go into the forest to buy them time and to get Umbridge away from the other Order members, was just, I mean, she was just stalling. She was just she was winging it, and she did a great job. And unfortunately, something really awful happened to Umbridge, but that was never her intention. But I think that was really quick thinking on her part.
Yep.
And then bravery, truly being a Gryffindor, slapping Malfoy or punching Malfoy, like pretty awesome moment in Hermione's little repertoire of moments for sure. Also, and this is really sad, but like withstanding Bellatrix torture in 7 is also a huge Gryffindor moment. Because we see how, like I was saying, how quick thinking she is, but like in that moment we see her psychological and physical stamina, because to withstand that and come out of it, I don't want to say unscathed, but like it could have been a lot worse than it was. So that was a huge moment for her. And like that moment, I pulled a little snippet from it. And Bellatrix says, "I'm going to ask you again, where did you get this sword? Where?" And Hermione says, we found it, please," Hermione screamed again. "Bellatrix, you are a lying, filthy mudblood. What else did you take? What else? Answer me. Crucio." Hermione's scream echoed off the walls upstairs. So that was sad, and that's where I'm ending. Sorry. awesome. I love her.
That was sad, but hey, she's awesome.
Let's lift this back up.
Yeah, all right. So I chose Tonks. Coincidentally, Hufflepuff. That was not on purpose. I was just like, I want to pick Tonks. Why not?
We actually didn't even, I mean, obviously Hermione's not, but I was like, she's got Slytherin tendencies. We
Yeah, we all picked
just
someone from our house, which is really
interesting.
interesting. It's funny. So we really do see so little of Tonks in the books, which is kind of sad. Yet she's super fascinating. She's brave and witty. She's super clumsy. I think I take after her a lot.
Yeah.
She's super talented enough to become an Auror at such a young age, and yet she's young and vibrant. So she's got this really serious job, but she's still totally herself. She's never afraid to be herself, which is pretty amazing considering her metamorphosis powers. I'm going to say that wrong, but I'm going to try. And I'll get into more of that a little bit later. Just some cool stuff she did. She professed her love in front of an entire room full of people during a really intense situation, Dumbledore had just died. And even though she'd been turned down time and time again, she didn't give up. I will admit when my boy did wrong, that was one moment. We're going to get to another one later. She shows us that life is too short to just sit and wait for what you want. You have to be proactive in chasing your dreams. And we see that with her Auror career, and then we do see that with Remus as well. She's also an amazing example of forgiveness. Remus kind of walked out on his unborn child and pregnant wife. Not a good thing to do, and yet she still found it somewhere in her heart to welcome him back. I don't know if everyone could do
He
that.
had a moment.
I think she knows her
had a moment.
husband well, you know?
Yeah, I would
Probably
agree with
you're an idiot.
Right. And Tonks is kind of what Harry's future as an Auror might look like if we had any sort of real glimpse into that. And she has to have been so driven to go after that and achieve it so young. This is my personal headcanon, but I think she was I like to think she was the first in a long time to be considered for a mentorship for Aurorship. Aurorship? Should I just make that up?
I don't know. Go
I
ahead.
like it.
We'll take it.
And I also maybe think maybe Moody was so impressed. He was I want her to be under my wing. I want to take her. Let's see.
R.I.P.
Harry is just handed the job.
Why?
It's the Harry Potter effect. They're just oh, you want here you go. Sure.
I thought we were trying to lift this up.
I'm just saying.
I'm just trying to be nice.
Right.
My favorite thing about Tonks, she's never afraid to be herself. She's not interested in being anything other than herself, which is kind of really interesting because she can change her appearance at will. She could be whoever she wants, and yet we only see her using her powers as a way to extend her personality and never hide her true self. She never uses her powers for any superficial reasons. And that's some serious
Only to joke
self-confidence.
around, you know?
Right.
That's the only time you really see it.
Which is part of her personality.
Yeah, which
fun
is
and
great.
clumsy and
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah, that's some hella self-confidence that I could take a leaf out of for sure. Another headcanon, this is my final point. I like to think of Tonks as androgynous or non-binary or gender fluid. We talk about this a lot on one of our bonus episodes. Just some examples, she doesn't like to be referred to by her feminine, putting that in quotes, birth name, which is Nymphadora. And if you look at the definition for metamorphosis, I did it. Unlike animagi, metamorphosis can take a wide variety of forms, changing sex and age, potentially looking like anyone at all, or even just changing a part of their appearance, such as the color of their hair or the shape of their noses. Also, a metamorphosis is born, not made. It is not a skill that can be learned. I just think it's a really good parallel for any sort of LGBT thing, you know? I think we could all use to be a little bit more like Tonks.
Yeah.
It is my turn. I haven't done
It's
this
your
in a while.
turn. You got this.
So I picked Feyre.
You're out
Wrong
of your
podcast.
mind.
So I picked Luna because I really like how unique she is. And really, she's the kind of person that doesn't really care or think about what other people think of her. She just is her. And she's just unapologetically herself. That's a big word. And she also never seems to judge she's not the type of person to judge other people either. So she's come as you are. She really doesn't care. And what I also love about her is she has such a different perspective, and she brings a different perspective that others probably don't think about. So some instances, I saw when Harry and friends are going back to school in Order of the Phoenix, Harry thinks that the school has changed like the way that they carry, like the carriages go up, because he now sees Thestrals. And so I always love the scene because it just makes me chuckle, because she's like, no, like I see him too. And she like doesn't even think anything of it because she's been seeing them since she first started Hogwarts. And she tells him, don't worry, you're just as sane as I am. And he's like, I don't think that's very comforting, but okay.
It's like, oh, really?
And she's really great at supporting her friends. She has no problem telling Harry, like right in front of a bunch of people, that she's like, I believe you about Voldemort coming back, and I believe that you fought him. Like, I'm on your side. But does not care if anyone, because the majority of people didn't believe that and didn't support him and were not kind to Harry. And so she was really always in his corner. She's readily signs up to learn Defense Against the Dark Arts from Harry. And she even supports Gryffindor in Quidditch, which I think, in my head canon, because I know at least Cleveland sports are very, like,
Great.
You know, everyone has, like, their team. Like, even, like Ed's Ignatius, like, in Cleveland, is very much, like, you're either an Ed's team or an Ignatius team. And that's how it is, like, in my head with, like, all Gryffindors cheer for Gryffindor, all Ravenclaws cheer for Ravenclaw, and then you see her and she doesn't care. She's got that giant thing on her head, and she's like, it even roars. And the Ravenclaw aren't even playing.
The Ravenclaw.
The Ravenclaw University. So Harry's great at thinking that he has to do all of these things alone. That is very much like how he is throughout all of the books. And in, what is it, Order of the Phoenix? Half-Blood Prince? Order of the Phoenix, right?
But which
For
moment
what?
are you referring to?
When Sirius dies. You can tell that
Order
I
of
haven't
the
done this.
Phoenix.
I also don't know any of the names. So when they're going to the ministry, first of all, he's like, y'all are not coming with me. And then he's like, okay, Ron's gonna come with me. And then everyone else is like, no, we're all coming. Even Hermione like stomps her feet. She's like, you aren't leaving me here. Because like Harry's like, well, we'll just go. And then you guys can like maybe follow us. And she's like, we're all going. And they're like, well, we have no way to get there. And she's the one that's like, well, we could fly. And then Ron's like, well, there's only broomsticks. She's like, there's other ways to fly. So like, that's just an example of her having like another example of really thinking outside the box. And I don't know, is it a movieism where she's in the forest with him talking with the Thestrals, and she's like, if it was me, I love that scene where she's like, if I because really no one else has thought that and said that thought out loud.
Yeah.
She's seen being caring and comforting to Harry after the loss of his godfather, and kind of relating to him about having her mom also has passed, and they kind of bonded over that, and he leaves the conversation like having his heart a little less heavy than it was before.
She's like the only person that he can kind of, I don't know, essentially like stomach to be around at that time.
And I also like, she comforts Hermione after Lavender makes fun of her in Half-Blood Prince. And I like that you've seen Hermione not be kind to her. Like, Hermione does not like her. They're very polar opposites of, like, she's very whimsical and Hermione's very logical. So, like, they have essentially completely different, like, belief systems in the way that they think about things. And Hermione's like, well, if I can't see it, I don't believe it, where she believes in all kinds of things that apparently don't exist. But that's Luna, and it's wonderful. And so Luna doesn't care that she hasn't been the nicest human to her, and she comforts her because that's how Luna is. It says, I think in the movies that we almost forget like how Harry's other friends besides Ron and Hermione are so important to the story, because Luna and all the other ones, like, also she never backs down when it comes to almost like, what do you need me to do? Like, I'm here, like, I'm going to support you, I will fight. She fought in the entire battle. She was with him in the Ravenclaw common room. And so she has no problem fighting, because she's like, this is right. And I say, because we see the books from Harry's perspective, we don't really get to see what happens in Deathly Hallows with the students that, like, go back to Hogwarts. But we can speculate about like the exact events. We do know that both her and her father were very vocal for their support for Harry and like the cause of like the light side. And so she was taken by Death Eaters, and while she was in Malfoy Manor, her and Ollivander were like a big comfort to each other. And you can kind of see like they shared like a little bit of a camaraderie after being in there for so long. And then when they leave Malfoy Manor and Dobby has been killed, she's the first one to like say something over his grave, and she says to him, "Thank you so much, Dobby, for rescuing me from that cellar. It's so unfair that you had to die when you were so good and brave. I'll always remember what you did for us. I hope you're happy now."
I just love her like way that she just gives whatever's on her mind, just simply and honestly and raw without any apology for it.
I love that a lot of people, really, you see Harry and Luna are the ones that like, they don't think of Dobby as like just a house elf. They just think of him like almost as like a friend.
Yeah.
So other people would be like, well, it's just a house elf. Like, why do you care? Like, why are you burying him? And Harry even says like, I want to make sure like he does it the Muggle way, essentially.
Yeah.
Because he
Does the hard
deserves
work.
it.
Yeah.
And that's how Luna is. She thinks that like he did a wonderful thing for them, and she's never looked down on them or like any other creatures, because she goes on to like do magizoologist, right?
There you go.
Which is what her great-grandfather, no, godfather, great, is it her great or just her father-in-law, right?
Father-in-law.
Like
Scamander.
grandfather-in-law.
Grandfather-in-law.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is Newt Scamander, if you didn't know. So she's like, I just love how she shows her love and respect for beings, even when like others would deem them lower than themselves, because a lot of people would not have given Dobby the time of day and would not have cared that he died.
Yeah.
And you know, she fights to the end of the Battle of Hogwarts, and she's really just a great friend to Harry and the others. And I love that she really doesn't ever change herself to make herself more digestible for like other people, because like a lot of people don't like her. They call her loony. They don't care for her, which is unkind.
I think she's the one that tells, she suggests to Harry after the battle when they're all in the Great Hall, because everybody's trying to like hug on him and thank him for everything, and she suggests that he goes, and that's when he gets Ron and Hermione and they leave under the cloak, because she's like, oh look, I don't know, whatever she said. And everybody's like, what? And then they can just like essentially escape and go talk to Dumbledore's portrait.
So I said that she really doesn't shrink herself so others are more comfortable around her. She's someone that really I strive to be, because like she truly is unapologetically herself, and not that she doesn't care, but she really doesn't. She's just gonna be her.
Right.
I said she's a good egg.
She's a good egg. Be true.
Yeah, I really like her.
Okay.
That's all I got.
All right. I think we are going to go to our social media.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you guys enjoyed listening to us chat, make sure that you follow us on your preferred podcast listening platform and tell your friends about us, because if you liked it, then maybe they will as well. Subscribe to our channel on YouTube at Swish and Flick Podcast, and you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at swishflickcast. If you'd like to support us on Patreon, you can head on over to patreon.com/swishflickcast. Supporting our podcast keeps us going, and it gives you access to our exclusive Felix Files episodes, which is what Katie was talking about with our episode on Tonks. Also, our Discord channel, live recordings, trivia games 4 times a year, Swish swag boxes, and more. Thank you all so much for your support, to all of our current patrons. And then also, we are always accepting Potter stories. Normally at the end of an episode, we share a Potter story. We're under a time constraint with this one, which is why we didn't include one, but we are always accepting them. So if you have a Potter story that you'd like to send to us, or just any fun things, questions, or concerns, you can do so to our email, which is swishflickcast@gmail.com. And then if you want to follow your hosts on social media, myself and Katie are on Instagram at the Petras Family. Tiffany is on Instagram at tiffswish_flick, and Sarah is on Instagram at O'Malley with 3 H's.
All right, Kent, we did it. We did it in the rain. We did it.
Shout out to Woodsies for
Yes.
Yeah,
music
thank
setup,
you.
sound
Yes.
setup. Shout out to everyone who's here.
And Main Street Kent for putting this
Yes,
together.
Yes.
Thank Main Street Kent for everything.
After being away for so long too, it feels good
Feels
to
good.
have this be a little bit more totally back to normal, honestly.
Guys, there's this Death Eater staring me down.
No.
Just kidding.
Oh, don't you do it. Oh!
I love it.
You've been Take it back. So once again, we want to thank Main Street Kent and everybody for having us out here again. I absolutely love these live events. I love getting to meet all of you and meeting some, hopefully, new listeners of our podcast. We are Swish and Flick, so if you don't already follow us on any of the podcast listening platforms, go ahead and take your phone out. You can do that right now. But we are a book club style, so we do our research, we know our stuff, and we are serious in that sense, but we are also four friends who love to get silly, and those of you who are already listeners who have traveled to come and see us know that, and we are just one big family community of Potterhead nerds, and we love it. So once again, thank you everyone, and that concludes this week's episode from Wizardly World of Kent 2022. Thank you so much for listening, and don't let the muggles get you down. Way to go!
It didn't lightning.
Truly though, thank you everyone who came out here in the rain.
Seriously.
Really genuinely appreciate every single one of you.
I thought you said
and we're
everyone.
still-
I thought you said everyone but one of you, and I was like, wait, is there
Who am I
someone
gonna
you
pick?
don't think?
Who is
butt
the exception?
One, the butt one is Sarah, maybe. I don't know.
Probably.
Yeah.
She can't stand me anymore.
And the plan is still to do the adult costume contest at 4.
Yes.
So hopefully it stays like this because I can deal with this.
That's not
Hopefully it gets better.
sucks.
Yeah.
Well,
hope
if
that's
it's
my
gonna
hope.
rain, I hope it stays this light. Is what I meant.
We know. All right. So feel free, walk around. If you want to meet us, we're gonna be back there.
Our tent kind of got destroyed because
Danny DeVito's down.
Yeah, Danny DeVito was out. He's
He's-
now sleeping.
Yeah, he needs to go to bed.
But if anybody wants to come get a picture, we're gonna be over there. We have a little like Polaroid type collage going on. We did have to take it down, but we're gonna post a picture of it at the end of the day. So anybody who didn't get a Polaroid picture with us yet, come over to our tent and we will take one with you.
We also have T-shirts, stickers, buttons, handmade goodies from Megan's mom, such as beanies, headbands,
Headbands,
scrunchies, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Cute stuff.
Cute stuff. All right, enjoy.